It's October. My favorite holiday is right around the corner, and that means it's spooky season. And I think right now is the perfect time to talk about spooky levels. It's a stone cold classic theme. It's hard to come up with one that designers love to use more. It's everywhere. Every genre and every target audience can appreciate a dash of Halloween or a scary something or other. When I asked friends for their favorite spooky levels, I got way more examples than I have time to mention. The theme's not limited to pumpkins and ghosts though. Game developers have tons of options at their disposal for scaring up a level. Lots of aesthetics of course, but lots of fun narrative themes and mechanics too. Let's open up DesignDoc's local branch of Spirit Halloween and talk about how games scare up a level. Oh hey, it's today's episode sponsor, Factor. Sometimes I don't feel like cooking a whole thing, especially for lunch, but it'd still be nice to have something nice. Factor lets you have all the convenience of takeout, but the flavor and variety of a home-cooked meal. They'll ship you a pack of meals to put in your fridge, and you just heat it up for all of 2 minutes in the microwave. You've got time for that. Meals are fresh, never frozen. I'm sure you've seen some of those frozen options from your supermarket. This ain't that, not even close. This is 1,000 times better. You can choose from 35 meals every week, with options from keto, calorie-conscious stuff, vegan, vegetarian, just about any dietary preference you might have. My dietary preference is, does it taste good? So that makes it real easy. I like to put it on a plate, but you could just go for it if you want. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code DesignDoc50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. That's code DesignDoc50 at factor75.com to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month of orders. Thanks, Factor. So one clarification about what we're going to talk about. This is spooky levels, not always scary levels. If every level is scary all the way through, that's more of a horror game, and that's a whole different thing. The way I'm thinking about it is spooky is a mix of 1 part scary and 1 part cozy, like a dangerous cozy with a knife. For games that have them, spooky levels are often a change of pace. They're perfect for a game that isn't really scary, but likes to dip in for the look, or to switch up the gameplay, or to explore some deeper character themes that a spooky setting might help them do. But the easiest one to talk about is spooky aesthetics, so let's start there. If you just want a quick hit of something seasonal, there's lots of options for making a level aesthetically spooky without having to tie it into some greater plan. There's the reskinning work to get an existing asset into the seasonal mood, like the Halloween maps that show up every year in Team Fortress 2. That's quick and easy. But if you're not going to go very deep with the scares, make sure you're aiming high on the amount of them. A couple ghosts and a graveyard isn't going to cut it. Go all out, like how Banjo-Kazooie's Mad Monster Mansion is packed to the brim with every haunted house trope at once. Windows boarded up, skeletons and hostile gravestones, secret passages and rooms filled with spiderwebs, locked gates in a hedge maze, ghosts to dodge and ghosts to trick yourself, spooky music and stock owl sound effects, a disembodied hand playing a pipe organ, a scary bad N64 camera to fight in the spelling part. You even turn into a toilet pumpkin. No part of this level is left unthemed. A lot of the fun of a spooky level comes from the aesthetic itself. Even if a level doesn't do anything specific outside of changing its look, that alone can be enough to set a level apart. It doesn't have to only be creepy or scary, it can be whimsical, darkly comedic, action-packed, melancholic, or just psychedelic and weird. If you don't want a Mad Monster Mansion, try a haunted hotel from Mario Sunshine. Not all that different from a normal hotel, but if it worked for Stephen King, why not here? The theme is full of chances for parody. One of Pizza Tower's spooky levels is a Five Nights at Freddy's homage with jump-scaring animatronics and cameras. And after dodging your way through, you gain the ability to fight back on the return trip. The tone can be as light as you want. Costume Quest is a full-on Halloween RPG about going around trick-or-treating in the neighborhood. Nothing scary, but plenty festive. You can accommodate lots of different settings. Gravity Circuit's junkyard is full of zombie robots and sticky glob hazards, with a master mechanic / doctor as a boss fight. They can be a window into the darker side of a game world's history. The Shadow Temple in Ocarina of Time was a historical Sheikah torture chamber and crypt, haunted by the spirits of enemies of the Hyrulean royal family. And the Dead Hand. Have fun, kids. It doesn't even have to be all that internally cohesive. Mystic Mansion in Sonic Heroes is a grab bag of haunted tropes, from goofy skeletons and pumpkin ghosts, to robot paintings that come to life. Even without a ton of connective elements, the visuals alone are fun enough. Of course, spooky levels can be about way more than aesthetics. Some really great ones set themselves apart by weaving together the vibe with the right mechanical focus, and that combo can look very different depending on the genre. If you want to build a unique spooky level, choosing a level gimmick that matches can help. Darkness is a popular option, especially in platformers. Dark stages become a challenge of navigation, where you don't have enough information to be totally secure. It's not everyone's favorite gimmick, but it can make a level stand out as long as you're careful. Shovel Knight did a good job. The Lich Yard is a classic action-focused horror stage, along the lines of what you'd see in a Castlevania. Starting in the stormy outskirts of a medieval village, you work your way onto and then into a graveyard and the ruins of an old crypt. You'll fight through hordes of skeletal knights and ghosts that can only be stunned, not killed. The platforming challenges come from two main gimmicks: platforms that sink when loaded with too much weight, not so tough, and areas of total darkness, way tougher. In those, everything but specific background elements and a few enemies are coated in black. You can't even see your own shovel self. You're only sure of where you are when you're standing in front of the contrasting background elements or during brief flashes of lightning. You'll have to use your object permanence to get around. As you progress, the stage will keep throwing you into setups meant to trick you. It's not a simple space to navigate, especially when the darkness is combined with platforms moving in and out. The further you go, the more the stage is covered in darkness, with less pockets of contrast to use. You've got to use what little information you have to make split-second decisions, all while getting hounded by ghosts and enemies hiding in the shadows. Oh, I hope you didn't forget about the new sinking platforms too. They'll get ya. The building darkness helps ratchet up the tension as you progress, but the stage could have easily become overwhelming if the devs went too far with it. One of the keys to making this stage not a horrible experience lies in the way the game gives out just enough resources to let you feel like you can do this. The lightning flashes might not seem like much at first, but as you go deeper, they can mean everything when you have nothing else to go on. Not every room is dark. You do get a break every now and then, which is another smart touch to help players regroup and keep the sequences building tension from turning into annoyance. Once you make it through, your prize is a cool fight against Spectre Knight, basically the Grim Reaper with teleports and even the ability to bring the stage darkness into the boss fight to take cover. You're good at it by now, you'll be fine. The Lich Yard is a gimmick stage for sure, but it uses darkness smartly, and knows how to give the right kind of help to keep all of the scary benefits without some of the trope's usual drawbacks. A change of pace with a spooky level theme can be a great time to experiment with a change of genre mechanics. A platformer doesn't have to stay purely a platformer. The Mario series loves to use a ghost house stage archetype in its mainline games, and they use puzzling mechanics all the time. Ghost houses often revolve around finding secrets and overcoming obstacles, while the stage tries to trick players the whole way through. Ghost houses debuted in Super Mario World. The level isn't designed as a simple straight-shot obstacle course decorated with a bunch of boos. Following the clear path ahead of you will only send you back the way you came. Players have to look for hidden exits, using things like P-switches that reveal secret doors that will get you closer to the true exit. Even when you think you've found the way out, the game's later ghost houses, like the one in the Forest of Illusion, feature multiple exits that reward some extra thorough exploration. Sure, you could go through the first door you see in this hidden corridor, but if you keep looking just a bit longer, you can get an alternate secret exit and a 3-up for your trouble. For a brief moment, Super Mario becomes an escape room as you solve the mystery of how to get out of the mansion, and the ghost theme feeds into the vibe. Unique, but cohesive, and absolutely still Mario. That's a formula for making something familiar, yet memorable. If you're trying to figure out how to add a spooky level to a game, remember that they don't have to exist just for their own sake. Some of their tropes can be very convenient ways to solve practical problems. Open world games almost all run into a problem with sequencing and player access to events. The draw of an open world game is the ability to explore anywhere at your own pace, but without any more guidance, players can easily stumble into situations they either can't deal with or have no context for. Jumping into the middle of a questline by accident doesn't help anyone, but maybe a ghost can fix it. There's a ghost ship in Wind Waker. While you're sailing around minding your own business, you might spot a derelict pirate ship with an aura. Pretty spooky. Let's go after it. Huh? It is a ghost ship, I guess. Well, put it out of your mind for now. Hours pass. You'll likely hear bits and pieces about the ship as you travel. The fishmen, by where it spawns, talk about seeing it on some nights. The ship is part of the infamous Triforce quest in the endgame. One of the Triforce pieces the player's looking for is on the ship, but you really shouldn't be messing with it until later. To get on the boat, you'll need the ghost ship chart that you can't get until right before the Triforce quest starts. Once you have the hookshot, you can get onto this little island, hop in here, do the mini dungeon, and grab the chart. Is it clear that you need to head over here to make progress? Not really, but it definitely keeps you from getting here too early. Blocking off the ship could have been done by not having the ship spawn, but there's no mystery in that. It could be a normal ship with a locked door or something else that needs a key, but we've seen that already. The ghost angle gives the whole thing some extra flair while still doing the keep the player out job that the game needs to do on a basic mechanical level. It's one of the game's many elements that adds life and intrigue to the blank ocean canvas, and is one of the few highlights in the otherwise tedious Triforce quest. If you're sick of the same lock and key gating, maybe add a ghost. Some games have levels that go for a more extreme tonal contrast. There's a spooky planet in Outer Wilds, the Dark Bramble. The planet just looks like bad news. Hostile architecture, evil snarls of vines and thorns, and at its center is a maze of chambers holding everything from implied horrors to explicit horrors. The Dark Bramble is a foggy tangle of a maze, and full of fangly fish, the only hostile wildlife this game has. The maze layout is non-Euclidean. Chambers expand and loop back around on themselves, and the lights that serve as the only landmarks can be misleading. Without a guide or very careful charting, you're likely going to get lost. Oh, and whatever you do, don't make a sound. Also, don't kamikaze them. You've got no defenses against an anglerfish's bite, and you'll be hard-pressed to outrun one. With no way to fight and no way to get away, you'll have to stealth your way through this maze. Anglerfish react to noise, and it's never very clear how loud is too loud for these guys. Your best bet is to play it safe, creeping along, crawling adrift past these tears as you hope that you haven't gotten yourself lost in the process. There's important stuff to find in here, so facing your fear is definitely worth doing. The Dark Bramble is a hard contrast with the rest of the game. Everywhere else is chill and helpful. A struggle against nature explorer's mentality with friendly characters to give a helping hand along the way. The Bramble is lonely, hostile, confusing, and tense, built to unsettle you every second you're here. The contrast, and especially when it gets combined with tense stealth mechanics, make this thing stand out. It's a very spooky level. I said in the beginning that a game that is scary all the way through wouldn't be a candidate for this video, but I'm going to make an exception. Resident Evil Village's Dollhouse. Resident Evil is obviously meant to be scary all the time, but the Dollhouse is a completely different flavor of terror. Resident Evil can often be conflicted as to how scary it is. The regenerators in RE4 or Mr. X in RE2 can be scary, but for large chunks the games are more action-oriented. You're usually armed to the teeth. You're mostly able to take out the threats around you, be it zombies or better zombies, as long as you don't miss too many of your shots. So how can a survival horror game like this become spookier? Try playing with the power dynamics. Donna Beneviento's Dollhouse is built for psychological horror. It's maybe the scariest sequence in the whole series.
I've been waiting for so long. I'd make a much better daughter than Rose. Please, won't you stay with me? forever.
What?
Your weapons are confiscated, and you're left in an eerie house filled to the brim with porcelain dolls. The genre has shifted from action-packed survival horror to pure horror. The tone shifts too. Things become much more quiet and puzzle-focused. Without a zombie threat, you can really focus on the atmosphere. You have to get uncomfortably close to a doll in the central room, taking it apart to reveal keys and puzzle clues. The tension builds as you progress.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
You go room to room, solving creepy puzzles as you try to get a key item at the bottom of the house as well. Right at the end when you think it's done, it sounds like something was unleashed. If you make your way back to the central room, the doll is gone, with only a bloody trail left behind. You have to walk the dark hallways until you find yourself face to face with the baby. You still have no weapons, so you'll just have to avoid it. Don't let it spot you. Hide. In closets, under beds, anywhere you can until it wanders off. Get the final key items you need and make a mad dash back to the elevator exit with the baby hot on your trail. If you can make it out, you get one final encounter with Donna and her doll, running through the house to finally finish it off and regain your equipment. The Dollhouse is an amazing change of pace right in the middle of an otherwise great but more traditional Resident Evil experience. The whole sequence proves that even after all these years of running from zombies, Resident Evil still knows how to tweak its own formula to shake you out of your comfort zone and send a chill down your spine. So, what's the opposite of the baby? How about the fear? His boss fight is definitely not spooky. The fear in Metal Gear Solid 3 is one of the goofiest fights in the series, and that's saying something. He's no Peter Parker, but he is a Spider-Man. This guy's got spider venom, double joints, he can scurry from branch to branch in the treetops, he's got a creepy forked tongue, like a spider, snake eyes, like a spider, and he's hidden by spider active camouflage. This could be a cool fight straight out of the movie Predator, an antagonist preying on your own fear, making you unable to trust your own senses, setting up traps for you to stumble into, and jumping at the slightest rustling. It doesn't do that. If this stage is going for fear, it doesn't start off very well. He shoots you with a poisoned dart, and then starts talking. It's hard to set up the scares with a really on-the-nose monologue about how scared you're about to be. Once you're in it, every time he does anything, there's some sound cue that blatantly telegraphs what he's about to do. He says, "Yeah!" when he jumps. He's an anti-jump scare. He's not able to hide very well either. Even if you couldn't see his really obvious camo, or couldn't wait for the batteries on that thing to wear off, you could just pop on your thermal goggles and take out any hope of tension. Not only can you see the fear no problem, but the thermal goggles even point out the stage traps. What's up with this hot rope? Or you could even feed him poison. I've tossed several expired poison dart frogs and watched him eat them all back to back until he keels over. It's not hard to imagine a version of this fight that's far more fearful. The venom he injects you with could play a bigger role, making you unusually paranoid and jumpy at the rustling around you. Is it the fear, or just the wind? In the actual fight, you can immediately pause the game and cure yourself. The fear even suggests that you do that, out loud. The scares are undercut by overexposure, and any feeling of helplessness goes out the window when you realize how many tools you have at your disposal to neutralize the tension. 0 out of 10 spooky. Overall, I think the most common theme of a great spooky level is how they give a game an excuse to break out of the expected formula. Some of Batman Arkham Asylum's most memorable moments show up in the Scarecrow encounters. At 3 different points, Batman will get the Scarecrow's fear toxin sprayed in his face and have his greatest fears brought to life. Dutch angles. I mean, spooky architecture. I mean, the origin story family stuff you've seen 100 times by now. They're neat segments. The levels will morph around as you travel through them. The space might turn into an infinite hallway, or a room with an exit that leads you right back to an entrance. A roach infestation might appear. The brickwork around you may start to crumble. Random papers will be scattered by impossible winds. Your assumptions for what will happen next will go out the window. These story sequences all give nice, creepy little vignettes that explore Batman's past and psyche. His fears of what happens if he fails as a hero, how that fateful night in Crime Alley continues to haunt him, even the blurry line that separates him and what he does from someone as twisted as the Joker. By the third and final Scarecrow sequence, they just shatter the fourth wall. The game pretends to crash, rebooting into an alternate version of the game's opening with Batman and Joker's roles reversed. It culminates in a fake-out game over screen, complete with bogus advice. After each of these story sequences, Batman goes through a stealth platforming challenge in a nightmare to work his way out of the control of the fear toxin. The whole thing feels like a scripted but more refined version of the Eternal Darkness sanity effects that won so much praise back in the GameCube days. The Scarecrow segments in Arkham Asylum aren't the most subtle or elegantly written sequences, but their surreal presentation helps keep players from getting too comfortable and make a highlight that sticks with people, especially during that first playthrough. Man, I love Halloween. Head to the comments and tell us some of your ghost stories. What games do you know that do justice to the spooky theme? Even unintentional stuff, like if you found some spooky bugs. Or head over to our Scary Good Patreon and see all the extra Design Doc stuff that $1 a month can get you, like our newsletter and ad-free episode previews. Spooky levels are a perfect change of pace, a fun aesthetic, interesting thematic elements to explore, and a great reason to try out some different mechanics. Play around with some level theming, and you might scare yourself.